What's up, guys? Welcome back to the JP and Trav show on the JP and Trav YouTube channel. As always, it's your host with the most, JP. To my right, I have my esteemed co-host, brother and friend, Travis J. Davison. Travis, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Fantastic. Had a great Thanksgiving. I am full to the brim. Um, got my stretchy pants on. You know what it is. So, um, no, really excited. Quick turnaround, obviously, for tomorrow. I'll be going down very early. Got to drop some stuff off for pregame. Then obviously go to the game, and then we're doing postgame from O'Connell's tomorrow. But my folks are coming to the game. I'm stoked. So they're getting to take in a game before the end of the season. And honestly, I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for everybody that's joining us tonight. I know, on a holiday, JP and I were texting saying, hey, should we do it? It's a holiday, this, that, that. But at the same time, we've been doing this over 2 years. Everybody in the chat, they've been with us every week. A lot of them obviously are new, but a lot of us been, rocking with us since the beginning. So I feel like, I spend time with the family during the day, and I come here in the evening and spend more time with just a different family, man. So couldn't be more grateful for everybody that's tuned in tonight. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Hopefully your turkey was nice and moist. So how are you doing, JP?
Yeah, brother. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Grateful for you too. And as you said, man, just the show. And again, anybody who's been with us, and even those who are new, we just do this, just as close friends and brothers. Just want to talk football. That's how it started out, 2 years ago. And Travis and I have blossomed a brotherhood out of it, that I wouldn't trade for the world. And so, it's always fun for me to come and just talk shop with my boy on Thursday nights. But it's no different. Like you said, it's Thanksgiving, but we've had our turkey. And the football game that's on right now is not very exciting, anyways. So, so y'all get the rest of y'all family in here to tune into the JP and Trav show if they Sooners fans, and just want to get a little bit of talk in before noon tomorrow when Oklahoma will play its last home game as a Big 12 member against Texas Christian University. And I guess we can start there, Trav. Obviously last week was what it was with BYU. We escaped. A lot of crazy things happened. I am going to ask you really quickly, what was that trip and that view like? Let's just go through that real quick, and then we'll get to TCU.
To be honest, I almost feel like, everybody's seen the pictures on Twitter, you can Google it, everything like that. It's just different, man. I hope if we ever go back to BYU, you need to be there, first of all.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat, you got to go. It's different, man. So I had an interesting travel schedule, obviously, like we talked about.
Yeah.
I only slept for an hour the night before the game. I arrived in Provo at about 6:30 in the morning, and just driving into Provo, knowing that I'm surrounded by mountains, this, that, and the other. It was still dark whenever I arrived. So the sunset was at about 7:15, 7:30, right? Well, I go in and I'm like, I got to get my media pass. I want to go up and take a picture of the sun coming over the mountains. And it's just, there's nothing like it, man. You're literally sitting in the press box or even in the stadium, and you're looking at it, and it almost feels like you're asking Mother Nature permission to play a football game.
Yeah.
It's that grand in front of you that it feels like you're doing this just, as if you're almost putting on a show for the mountains as well. So it was beautiful. Drove back through Colorado and ended up going to the Vikings Broncos game, sitting with Jamar's family, and my dad was able to make the trip, which was incredible. And it was awesome. Got to go on the field afterwards and link up with Delarian Turner Yell and Obviously Nick Benito and Ben Powers and Marvin Mims and all these guys, and it was really cool to see those guys and at that other level, right? But yeah, the BYU game, weather was pretty crappy. It was a little cold, a little rainy. It's a tough place to get to, but man, OU fans out, showed out. So I got a little taste of a cougar tail. The donut, it's got a little extra maple on it. I'm not a big donut guy. I think donuts are highly overrated, but it was good to have it. It was, yeah, I mean, we can get into food takes in the off season again, but donuts are highly overrated. But no, it was fantastic. I recommend the trip to anybody. It might be a situation even next year during the bye week if some of you are kind of in the area or just like me, like to go watch a football game in a really cool atmosphere on your bye week, on OU's bye week. Like, go to Provo, man. One of the most unique experiences I've ever been to. I've been to plenty of SEC games, and I've obviously been to a ton of OU games and all their away games and stuff like that. But this one is one that stuck out. There's no doubt about it.
Wow, that's awesome, man. No, I texted Trav, hey, how's it going? He sent me a picture of his view, and I was like, dang, that's quite something. Walking into a stadium and just seeing a huge mountain behind it, like, is I'm sure something else. But yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. But you got through it. Every with everything that happened in the game, Dylan Gabriel going down, and that's something that we'll start with, I guess, going to tomorrow. He went down, and Jackson Arnold, helped us as well. The defense and Billy Bowman's pick six helped us in the second half to secure that W, and looking to get our 10th win tomorrow and still stay alive for the Big 12 championship, depending on what happens with um, Texas Tech and Texas Friday night, and then potential Oklahoma State and BYU on Saturday. So we'll keep tabs on that. But you still has to take care of business tomorrow at home, senior day. As many in the chat are saying, Drake Stoops' last day going to be, pretty somber, I'm sure, for a lot of people.
Gonna be
But
emotional.
let's talk about Trav real quick. We'll get into, I'm sure, talking about all the seniors that we'll be losing. Have you heard anything in terms of Dylan and his availability tomorrow?
I know he's been practicing. I don't think you're allowed to practice in concussion protocol, at least I think to the levels that he has. I expect Dylan to play. And I don't think this is a situation where I know some people are saying that it's a bad look on OU if DG plays and, gets sued. He could sue the university for rushing back. Like, it's not up to, like, it's OU can't just shove him in there if he's got a concussion.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do that to him. Otherwise, we probably would have seen him play against Texas last year. Like, it's not something that OU takes lightly. If he's out there, it's because he can be out there. It's because he can play. So I expect to see him. I think you're doing right by him if you do see him. I think it could be his last game. I think it probably is his last game at Owen Field. And I think you touched on it. I think a guy like Drake Stoops, like, he's got that chemistry with him. I think Drake Stoops' ceiling statistically in this game is reliant on Dylan Gabriel being in the backfield under center. So I love Jackson Arnold, but guys just have that certain chemistry. And Dylan Gabriel and Drake, they've got the same representation. They hang out a ton. They've spent a ton of time together. Their chemistry is second to none. And even in the first half against BYU, JP, Dylan was getting Drake whenever he wanted him, and Drake was getting whatever he wanted. So I truly believe he would have had a big game. Drake is one catch off of the Big 12 lead, and he is tied for the touchdown lead. So I think you want to, as a coach, I know Emmett Jones wants it with his first year as OU's wide receiver coach. I would love for him to say, yeah, I've got the league's highest reception guy. And Nick Anderson is third. He's got 8 touchdowns. He's only one off the lead of Drake Stoops and A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah.
So theoretically, if the game works out right, you could have in his first year, you could have the top receptions guy and the top 2 touchdown leaders in the Big 12 is your first year as OU's wide receiver coach. That could be big, man. Could be
Yeah,
big.
yeah, he's already blazing on the recruiting trail as it is. So, don't need to give that guy any more ammo whatsoever. But yeah, no, you're right. Drake is definitely one that DG will find a ton. And we saw Jackson Arnold struggling. And let me explain something. So I had a tweet. I don't know if you saw it, Trav. Um, that basically I said, um, put Jackson Arnold in over Dylan Gabriel, like in quotes, right? Because after his first,
You were stirring them up.
I was after his first couple series, and if you know anything about me, you know that I was not saying. I don't think that Jackson Arnold will not be more talented or is not more talented than Dylan Gabriel is when it's said and done. However, at this very moment, like Dylan Gabriel is a fifth year senior. He's top 10 all time in passing yards. He's a dang good quarterback. I mean, he's played excellent this year. Like that's just a fact. I don't care who you talk to. So like we talked about this all year. This narrative that Dylan Gabriel is not good enough to do this, not good enough to do that. That's no, like he's been good enough to get us where we want needed to be this year. Period. He has. And for those who have said, well, let's just see Jackson Arnold. I don't want to see what he looks like. This is the proof that like you can't just throw a freshman in. And I get that it was, he was probably planning on redshirting and that he didn't really probably get any preparation during the week. I understand all that, but it's still the fact he's a true freshman and he's gonna make true freshman mistakes. Everybody was like the first drive. Well, why did Levy get conservative on that drive? It's like, well, the first two plays, like you're first of all, you're back to inside your own 5. You're not going to open it up for a true freshman in his first like true game, road game, tied. You know,
Well, and Stogner got screwed on that call too because he
he
barely touched that guy.
he did. He 100%. But then also on the third down play where Jackson swung it out to the running back who was his safety, he had guys coming open over the middle. He did. He just didn't see it, and he was nervous. He rushed himself, which is completely understandable because he's a true freshman. I don't care if he is a 5-star.
Yeah, it's
Like
fine. And he
th-
did struggle. He went 5 of 9 for 33 yards. He overcooked one down the line to Nick Anderson, which would have been a touchdown. And
yeah,
he completely missed Tawi Walker in the flat, which would have been a 20 to 30-yard gain. So
yes,
he struggled. He made the plays when he needed to make the plays, which was big time. That one throw to Farouk, I mean, won the game.
huge, huge.
But if you don't think he struggled, I mean, he struggled, and that's fine. And nobody's saying when he struggled that he's a bad quarterback or he didn't do this, that, or the other. Like it's it's perfectly fine to say that a guy that missed some big throws to guys that were completely wide open struggled. It's okay to say that, and none of that is knocking his future.
No, not at all. It's just natural. Like that's you don't just come in willy nilly. Like this is not this is not Baker Mayfield coming into Los Angeles on a day of preparation and being able to that guy has years and years of experience in the NFL when stuff like that happen. Like a freshman does not just come in and just boom, right? As much as people would expect that to happen. Now, do we expect Jackson Arnold to become what we all think he can? I truly believe we do. Like I don't, and he may even play if he ends up starting tomorrow. He may even do very good tomorrow. But that again, I'm just saying the whole concept of like let's throw in him over DG because DG missed a throw or two was just like it was a culmination of that, is what I'm saying. But I digress. Let's move on from that piece. Regardless of who we have tomorrow, I truly think that at the end of the day, the game comes down to, as we always talk about, the trenches, offensive line playing well and protecting Jackson or Dylan, and continue to have that run game going. Gavin Sawchuk has had 3 straight 100-yard games. And so, potentially looking for his 4th. And TCU's not, terrible at defense, but they're not all that great either. They're just average. And so you should expect to see that again, you would hope. And I think our defensive line, for whatever reason, it seems that when they're away, they just I don't know what it is. They don't seem to be as locked in as when they're at home. And so the hope is that tomorrow, they play how they played at home all year. They create some havoc in the backfield, and the defense looks how it should look, and that the run fits in particular look how they should look. Because last week they were terrible.
Well, a healthy Danny Stutzman goes a long way. Um, while he was in the game, he had food poisoning. He hadn't eaten in 2 days, couldn't keep anything down.
Hmm.
He had 4 IVs before the game. Did not look himself. He was white as a ghost in the post game. Um, and also footing, man. Defensive backs couldn't get their footing. They're getting walked down the field by wide receivers. Linebackers couldn't get their footing, and they had bad run fits. Now, I do think that being at home obviously is a big difference. Whether it should be or not, I guess, is a conversation for maybe the offseason. But I think that playing against a team that likes to throw the ball as much as TCU will be a difference. I don't think you're going to see a lot of options, to get you off balance, a lot of different run designs like we saw against KU. I think you're going to see them drop back. So I think the defense has an opportunity to have a good game, especially in tackles for loss and sacks. I don't necessarily like the sack statistic as a measure of how good your defensive line is playing because there's so many factors that go into it. But I mean, I'm kind of surprised that OU doesn't have more of them. I thought we would have more by this point of the season, but
Yeah,
a solid defensive performance. TCU's got a lot of talent, and I don't see it being a complete shootout because I do think OU is going to score points. I don't see it being a game that's played in the 40s by any means.
yeah,
I think OU could maybe peak getting up there, but I don't think TCU can get to 40.
yeah. Yeah, TCU's offense isn't bad at all, but like you said, they've been banged up a little bit. Their rushing offense they have a pretty good running back. I think he's third, if I'm not mistaken, in rushing in the Big 12 behind Jonathan Brooks and Ollie Gordon, or Ollie Gordon and Jonathan Brooks. But we'll just have to see what it looks like between our defense and hopefully, as you just said, Danny's feeling a little better. That's such a legendary thing, man, to go out there with food poisoning and play and make the play that he did too last weekend to get us back in that game. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I want to touch on Monty. Monty said he disagreed with me with the assessment because the throws he made when he had to make them made you eyeball emoji, eyeball emoji. I agree. Jackson Arnold's arm talent is elite. There's no doubt about it. He was a 5-star for a reason. He was elite 11 MVP for a reason. He was National Gatorade Player of the Year for a reason. But when you say he had to make them, that's where you and I disagree, is because if he hits Nick Anderson when he's wide open for a touchdown, does he need to make that last third down play? Like, if he hits Tawi Walker on that wide open pass into the flat, like, does he need to make that third down play late? Like, that's where I think when you judge plays as need them, have to have them, I think it's interesting because if your failures in the past caused your needs in the future, I think that's just if you just would have taken care of business in the first place, then you don't need the had to have them throws. You could have ran the ball and then needed out. But you kind of put yourself in a negative situation and you had to get yourself out of them. Luckily, Jackson Arnold is extremely talented and he's able to get himself out of those holes.
Yeah.
But to say that he made the throws when he had to have them would suggest that he had nothing to do with putting themselves in those situations in the first place by missing throws, which he did. So, and then the other one, so the one below that, Levy trusted Jackson Arnold to win the game. Unlike in the KU game, Jackson Arnold made the throw to close out BYU. It's a fact, absolutely. But in the post game, they talked about learning from the Kansas game about how you need to be aggressive and pick up a third down as opposed to trying to drain their clock. So the coaching staff said that they made a mistake in the Kansas game and that that mistake, they learned from it and it shaped their play calling moving forward. So it isn't a situation where Levy doesn't trust one of the best quarterbacks in the country to make a throw, but he does trust true freshmen to make a throw. Like it's not a personnel decision. It was a, hey, look, they admitted they screwed up against Kansas and they learned from it, and it was what it was. And then the last one, Seth Ammerman says, Trav disagrees with me, but I feel like we need to hire a special teams coordinator this offseason. I don't disagree with you, Seth. The only difference is we already have a special teams coordinator in Jay Nunez. So if you're saying we need to hire a different one, maybe. But hiring one is a moot point because we do have one. So if you're talking about moving on, we'll see. He's got Liam Evans coming in, and I do love me some Liam Evans. We got a local field goal kicker that's hitting 56, 58 yarders in high school games. So that's I just wanted to respond to a couple of those.
Yeah,
backed up.
No, please feel free. Matter of fact, let's get this score prediction in, and then we'll do some questions, guys. We talked about tonight. We're not going to make it super short necessarily, but if we get to a 45-minute mark, we feel like, hey, we talked about everything we need to talk about. Whether it being a holiday and everything else like that, we just didn't figure we'd get on here and talk a little football. But that's all. We're planning on doing today. Special Thanksgiving episode. May keep it quick and short and sweet. But yeah, let's just get score predictions and then we'll go into questions.
Yeah, I think score prediction's tough. As much as I would love to see Zach Schmidt go out there and boot a couple 50-yarders just to go off on a good note, because I think that's Liam Evans' job next year, most likely.
Yeah.
Or Gavin Marshall or Reddy, any of those guys. But I would love to see him go boot a couple long ones. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. So I'm going to go 42-30. I think TCU scores. That's still covering. The 9.5 was the last time I saw it. But 42-30 covers the spread, barely. But I don't know. What do you have? I don't think that TCU's defense can really slow us down on our last. I went 42-30.
What was the spread, though? What's the spread?
Oh, 9.5.
Is it 9.5? That's it?
That was the last I saw, unless it's moved. It started way higher than that, and then it moved.
Maybe they think that Dylan's not playing.
It moved closer to TCU, so I'm not sure if it's moved outside of that.
I'm gonna say 35-20.
35-20. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, we're not far off. It's just a late touchdown gets it done. But you think the defense holding them to 20? Good.
I think they can. Iowa State's offense isn't terrible. They held them to 20. West Virginia's offense was way better than BYU's. And they showed up at home. And so I certainly think the defense can. I think the defensive line, as we talked about, plays better for whatever reason at home. And so hopefully they can get some pressure. I don't know what the TCU game plan will be, but yeah, the hope is the fits are better this week, that they've worked on it. And do we know if Gentry's playing or not? Is he out?
He is trending towards playing.
Okay.
We'll see. He's been dealing again with that shoulder. We'll see, but he has been trending towards playing. I want that guy to play so bad. He's so good. He changes our secondary so much.
Yeah, I know he does, man. I just wish he could be healthy. Him and Peyton Bowen both. Wish they could be healthy the whole year.
Hey, that's the future, though.
It is.
Our future secondary looks really good.
Yeah. But okay, you guys can continue to drop some score predictions in there. Let's get a Q&A going in here, and then we'll wrap it up here in just a few.
Yeah, let's go back to the top. We had some other. Well, let's talk about what do you think Drake Stoops' stat line is tomorrow?
If Dylan Gabriel plays, I think it's like 8 receptions for 130 yards and a touchdown or two. If it's Jackson Arnold, then I think it could be like 4 to 6 receptions for anywhere from I don't know, 50 to 80 yards and maybe a touchdown is how I feel.
Yeah, I think if Dylan plays, I mean, coaches care about and know about those numbers, about reception numbers, about, I mean, where they're at, where they stack up historically. And I think there are two guys whose historic numbers matter right now. It's Dylan Gabriel, who is climbing his way up the top 10 all-time passing leaders. And it's Drake Stoops, who has an opportunity to be the single season reception leader in the Big 12 and single season touchdown leader in the Big 12. With a crazy game, he could get the yardage. I just don't think he can. He would have to have a historic game.
Yeah.
But I think he goes off, man. I think they push the ball to him over and over. I think he has tons of targets. I think he has something like 13 catches for like 150-ish. Like I think it's like I think the Stoops chance will be outrageous for senior year or for senior festivities, senior night.
Yeah,
I think they'll want him to go out with a bang,
for sure.
and they'll sit there and just force feed Drake Stoops for the last time we'll see a Stoops on campus until Drake or Isaac has kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
That is insane.
So I think literally generations of Stoops. It comes down to this game, and you just let him set some records or something. You know what I mean? So force him the ball.
I like that. Could happen. Shoot. Has Guyton played his last game for OU? I mean, I don't know.
That's a great question, Jet.
It is.
Great question. I mean, how crazy is it, though? So, like, obviously Sexton got the start, and, I mean, he's consistent. He played well. McCade Mattar really likes playing next to him. You know, they run the ball over that right side very well when Sexton's in there. Jacob Sexton would have been the starting left tackle had he not gotten injured in the Cheez-It Bowl. And while Tyler Guyton is a first-round talent, he is that. He is a first-round talent. He hasn't always played like a first-round pick. He's got incredible upside. So he might have, man. I mean, if he doesn't play tomorrow, he might be done. It might be Jake Sexton's job. It might be Caden Green, Jacob Sexton as the young guns on that line going forward.
Yeah. It's just crazy to think that we would even think about, right? Like Tyler Guyton potentially not playing the last few games.
Right?
Like,
Isn't that weird?
it is. It is. And I don't know that it doesn't speak to, like, some people may feel like it speaks to Tyler Guyton's, like, you know, weakness or whatever. They may think he's mentally whatever and, whatever. But I think it speaks to also Sexton's playing well right now. And at the end of the day, Bill Beatonbow he's that guy. He's going to choose who he feels like playing the best in the moment. He's never been about the stars. He's never been about the who you think you are. I mean, how many times have we defended Bill on here because people are like, he sucks at recruiting and yada yada yada, but he produces like crazy. So like at the end of the day, that's who Bill is.
And can you knock him for wanting to put the best guy out there?
No.
He did it with Walter Rouse earlier this year. He was like, man, I think Sexton might be the better fit. And Rouse came through the transfer portal. He's a senior. And he was like, look, I just don't think you're playing that well. I'm going to put in somebody else. Like, not a lot of coaches would do that, especially offensive line coaches.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Ham or turkey? Personally, I'm a ham kind of guy. I like ham better.
Oh, so if I'm eating like a sandwich, I'll go with a ham sandwich, right? Like a hot ham and cheese type situation. Like I'm going with that. But a turkey done correctly, I think it's turkey. I think it's turkey. I mean, you've got the dark meat there, delicious. Got the legs. I'm a big drumstick guy, turkey leg guy. And when done correctly, the white meat, if you get the butter basting going in there, if you do some injections and whatnot, really, really good stuff. The problem is a lot of people don't know how to cook turkey, and they get that dry. You never get that with ham. So as far as just like ease of making sure that, and it comes cooked, you just heat it up, throw some glaze on it, whatever. Like I get it. I feel like a lot of people that would choose ham haven't had turkey cooked to its highest ceiling, but I don't hate it. I like ham too, but I think turkey. Hey, look, your ham, Dylan Gabriel. It's gonna be right there all the time. Consistent, solid. But turkey, I feel, got a higher upside if you develop it. It's got the opportunity, higher ceiling.
Yeah.
So maybe the turkey is Jackson Arnold.
Talk about some deep fried turkey. Whew. Done the right way. I'm telling you. How many offensive linemen and defensive linemen do we take in the portal? I feel like we take more defensive linemen personally than offensive linemen. I feel like we have a few offensive linemen still that we can utilize that are younger from the recruiting classes, but I definitely think defensive line is going to be a little bit of a stretch.
Well, it's tough because if you were to run a poll on just coaches, right, head coaches, and give them truth serum at every single Power 5 school, and say, what is it that you need to target in the trenches or target in the portal? Every single coach would say, we need to get better in the trenches. We need to get better on the offensive line. We need to get better on the defensive line.
Yeah.
This isn't like you're going after a tight end.
Right.
It's not like you really need linebackers. Like every single team, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Oregon, whoever, Ohio State, Michigan, they all need trench help because you can never have enough of it. So that being said, on the how many, I think 2 of our starters next year on the offensive line are portal. And I think 2 of our defensive line starters next year are portal as well. I say that because we're losing a ton on the defensive line.
A bunch.
We're losing Rouse, Matayer, and Guyton on the offensive line.
Rain,
I think Jake,
is Rain gone too?
Oh, Rame should be gone, yeah. But I think Jake Taylor, Jake Sexton, and Caden Green are starters next year.
Mm-hmm.
On defense, you got to wonder, is PJ ready? Is R. Mason Thomas ready? Ethan Downs, does he come back and really carve out, another year like that? But I feel like you still need more beef on the interior, right? I believe that Dejon Terry has 1 more year, if I'm not mistaken. But you're really light on that side. You lose Isaiah Coe, I believe. I believe you lose Jordan Kelly.
Yeah.
I believe you lose Jacob Lacey.
Yeah.
So you lose a bunch of guys on that end. So,
yeah.
I mean, you got a guy like David Stone coming in, and, do you just name him a starter? Does he figure it out? I mean, Grayson Halton, obviously, Kelvin Gilliam, obviously. Those kind of guys are in your room already, but you're going to need depth going to the SEC. So, I think we have 2 defensive line starters from the portal, and I think we have 2 offensive line starters from the portal. And I think this year's success, going from 6-7 to 10-2, hopefully, maybe 11-2, maybe 10-3, getting to 10 wins. I think that goes a long way in the portal.
Yeah.
It's easier doing that. I mean, look at the defensive haul we got coming off a 6-win season.
Yeah.
All-American Deshaun McCullough. Veteran Reggie Pearson. I mean, number one JUCO ready to play in Kendall Dolby.
Yep.
Got Dejon Terry from Tennessee. Everybody wanted him. Tennessee wanted him to come back.
Yep.
Jacob Lacey from Notre Dame. Rondo Bothroyd from Wake Forest. Trace Ford from Oklahoma State. You know, I can continue to go on and on. Obviously, like Connor Neer. You've got a lot of dudes that came after a 6-win season. So when these guys get in the portal, our coaching staff, how do you think they're going to recruit off a 10-win season?
Yep.
And with a lot of playing time to give. Because you recruited Dejon Terry and Jacob Lacey when you had two guys in Isaiah Coe and Jordan Kelly that had been there a long time and had already been starters for this team. Like, I don't know. Like, I think you have a little more ammo going into the SEC.
Yeah. I agree. Let's see, a couple more questions here, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up. Is David Hicks hitting the portal? I don't know that there's anything to that.
I think a lot of it has to do with the coaching hire, personally. They've got the obvious, like, NIL hooks deep in those people. It's not like the checks off like started bouncing once Jimbo got fired. But I do think that you can legitimately think, okay, I don't know the direction of the program anymore. You know, who is this head coach going to keep on staff? You know, is Elijah going to still be on staff? Is, you know, like Rushing still going to be on staff? Like,
yeah.
Or if they want to come in and basically root out a bad culture and say, look, everybody's gone. So I think that if you have a sexy hire versus the right hire, I think the sexy hire keeps those guys. Whereas, ironically, I think the right hire doesn't keep those guys. So, I don't know. He could. But if they hire Jed Fish from Arizona, is that exciting enough for David Hicks? If they hire
Jeff Traylor,
I think Jeff Traylor's out, but it's a good example. You know, do they say, you know, it's not really sexy enough for us?
Yeah.
Like I said, even though I think it's the right hire to do something like that, you don't have to. If you start something with, hey, go throw money at whoever, I think that's the wrong way to do it. So you don't need a splash if you're A&M, but I don't think those boosters know any other way.
Yeah.
Cycles early enroll. He's got a bunch of them. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I know there are
a ton,
like more than 15 of them.
Ooh, that's a lot.
Maybe more than 20. Okay, like it's becoming more and more commonplace to be an early enrollee. Like I said, I don't have the names off the top of my head, but I know that there are probably around 20 of them right now.
So if you want to know if Jeff Levy is going to Mississippi State, it's rumored he interviewed there today.
He's interviewed, but I'm not sure he gets the job. If he does, good for him. You know, first-time head coach getting an SEC head coaching job. I mean, that would be big.
That'd be something.
I discount slightly the Zach Selman connection. I don't think it's a situation where, like, yeah, Zach was at OU for a year with Levy. Like, that doesn't mean that they were roommates. Yeah. They were roommates. Like not that, like, they didn't grow up together. Like, I don't know. I don't see it as, hey, I'm Zach Selman, first time ever athletic director. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hire a first time ever head coach that, whether, you know, people want to admit or not, has a little bit of controversy tied to him.
Yeah.
Does Zach Selman want to hire a guy in his first ever athletic director football hire, a guy that probably is going to have Art Briles on the sideline regularly. Like if he was OC and did it, and not that he was on the sidelines regularly, but if he came down after the game,
Yeah.
like if he's head coach, what do you think? I mean, it's Jeff Levy's decision. That's his family. I mean, I'm not, that's not a conversation I necessarily want to get into. But at the same time, like, does Zach Selman say, maybe I don't want to sign up for that right away?
Right.
But I don't know. It would be good for him if he does get the job. And yes, I do think Joe John Finley would be his offensive coordinator. I think the recruit you would probably have the most risk with is Michael Hawkins, because I know how much, the Hawkins family loves Jeff Levy.
Mm-hmm.
But Hawkins is still an OU legacy. I don't think he'd follow him to Mississippi State, but I do think that he would entertain going to TCU because Kendall Briles was his second choice, close second choice. So I don't know. I think that Hawkins is a risk. I also think if Hawkins is a risk and Joe John Finley leaves, then naturally Devon Mitchell would be a risk. Now, he put out a tweet today that my recruitment is 1,000% closed. Can't wait to be a Sooner. All that. Like, I get it. I think he's an early enrollee. So it's like, I don't think there's going to be much fallout.
Yeah.
I truly don't. And if that does happen, this is what I want to happen. Bill Bedenbaugh and Seth Luttrell become co-offensive coordinators, just like they were at Arizona. Yeah. Bill Bedenbaugh was co-offensive coordinator under Riley's entire tenure. When Riley was head coach, Bill Bedenbaugh was co-offensive coordinator. I was told, let's see if y'all can put this together. I was told by a coach's wife over the weekend, former coach's wife over the weekend, that they thought Bill Bedenbaugh was the brains behind the whole Lincoln Riley operation anyways on the offensive side of the ball.
Wow.
They thought Bedenbaugh was the real designer and the real brains behind the operation. So he's brother-in-laws with Seth Luttrell, very close with Jim, very close with Seth. You get the continuity because Bill will retire sooner given the opportunity.
Yeah.
Seth, I can't imagine he would get tired of making good money to be co-OC. One would be on the field, one would be in the booth. They've done it before. They've run an air raid style, which you can recruit to for sure, that you have the pieces for. What I like about Bill being involved is, much like Kevin Wilson said in his pregame press availability, TUOU, he won't call plays that he can't block. When you have an offensive line guy calling the plays, they will call things that can only be blocked well. So you're not putting your defense in a bad spot with a turnover, and you're not putting your quarterback in a bad spot by extending him past what the offensive line is capable of at that time.
Right.
So I like that. Bill makes, I think, $800,000 right now. I'm not sure what Seth makes. I'm sure, North Tech's probably paying him out a little bit. Levy makes $2 million.
Ooh.
I think if you put Levy's $2 million into that pot, give both Bill and Seth a big raise, I think you can go into the SEC with OU guys as co-OC. If Levy takes Joe John, you would have Luttrell coaching tight ends, Bedenbaugh coaching offensive line, and then you could have Jackson basically pick his quarterback coach. So I think that is my fever dream if Jeff Levy decides to take the Mississippi State job, if it's extended to him. I want Bill Bedenbaugh and his brother-in-law Seth Luttrell to be co-offensive coordinators again.
Yeah.
And Bill as co-OC, just like he was under Lincoln Riley. And you have the continuity, you have the recruiting, You have an on the field OC and a in the booth OC. That's what I like.
Yeah. Hey, sign me up. That all sounds great to me. But I guess we'll see. We'll see. How it shakes out. What ends up happening with Jeff Lebby. But tomorrow, guys, we got football, Black Friday, noon Eastern time, 11 Central time. Make sure you guys tune in. I think we're gonna call the show. Looks like Trav is frozen. I don't know if you can still hear me, Trav, or not. Um, but it looks like your camera was a little bit messed up. But yeah, guys, we're gonna call it a night. Appreciate you guys. Um, have a great rest of the time with your family this holiday. Eat some more food, some pie, some turkey tonight, tomorrow, and let's get a dub. Let's get out of here with 10 wins and get into bowl season. And looking forward to the SEC. That's all we can say. Trav, if you're there, you got anything to say, family? Looks like his thing may have bugged out, but he loves you guys. Yeah, OU's men's basketball has looked great too. They look great today, and hopefully they look good again tomorrow as well. But um, appreciate you guys. Love y'all. Have a great rest of your weekend. 10 wins tomorrow against TCU, 11 Central Time. Boomer.